Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Historical Humans Reacts. And today we are on our favorite topic to talk about, the British Museum and the Parthenon Sculptures, aka, are these the Elgin Marbles? Yes, they are. Our favorite
Yep.
topic of all, the British Museum and the Elgin Marbles. And we're so close, so very close to having a good story about the British Museum. It's in our grasp. It's almost there.
But in the meantime, we're gonna keep kicking the institution while it's down.
Yeah, might as well. I mean, thefts, falling in roof,
It's,
uh,
eh,
questionably
it,
gotten Nazi goods.
I don't know. Listen, it's what we do at this point. Honestly, if they were to reform overnight and fix everything that we've ever complained about with them, we would not know what to do with ourselves.
Yeah, no, I mean, at that point, we would have to plan a trip and go visit it.
Yeah,
Which,
we'd have to go inside again,
you
film
know,
it.
that'd be
But
fun.
you
But
know the Greek and British governments are supposed to be very close to reaching some sort of deal where they can work around Britain's pride and all the extremely weird legal things that they have that make it completely illegal for anything that is in Britain to leave Britain.
and for those of you who are unaware, is the Elgin marbles were in the Parthenon in Athens. You know, the place where many of the gods' temples were, specifically to Athena, right? And
It was specific. Yeah, the Parthenon itself was a treasury to Athena, I believe.
and the British, in all of their great institutional knowledge and wealth, purchased the Elgin marbles about 200 years ago, and they purchased them from an occupying force that was occupying Greece at the time, the Turkish Ottomans.
Yeah,
And
and
uh,
in fairness, that occupation had been going on for about half a millennia
yeah, the Ottomans lasted a long time.
at
But
that point. So
one of the big issues, though, is the current Greek government has really made it a staunch talking point, and something that they have expressly made a desire is they really would like to get these marbles back. They would like to put them on display in their home country, and Greece has gone through quite a different iteration since the marbles were initially stolen. They had a monarchy for a while, but now they're a fully democratic country, and they recently just got done building a brand new state of the art facility with everything in place to display the marbles. They're just missing a key point. And as Cullen mentioned, Great Britain has a law in place that it is illegal to export or to return any of the artifacts that are stored in the British Museum and other institutions.
yeah, and and that law, as well as some stiff upper lip pride, has prevented the return of those marbles for the 15 years since the Acropolis Museum opened in Athens to house the Parthenon marbles from the Athenian Acropolis.
And the Greek government and Athenian government specifically have really built a reputation in the modern world for their culture, their history, how to display it, how to interact with it. They really have transitioned a lot of their economy based on the tourism associated with this. And this is a really big missing piece. It's a black mark on their history, one, but two, it's borderline insulting to a lot of the Greeks to have a foreign nation in possession of their country's most prized heritage.
Yeah, yeah. This is this is this is a very this is a very key thing for the Greeks. This is one of the cultural artworks that defines who they are. It'd be the equivalent of us as Americans having, say, I don't know, Saudi Arabia owns one of the heads from Mount Rushmore and displays it
I
in
would
their
say even
capital
like the
city.
Liberty Bell.
Oh yeah, sure, we'll take the Liberty Bell. That's much more portable.
Yeah, yeah. It's like if the Saudis had had our, Or the Statue of Liberty, even. Let's go next step up. The Saudis had purchased the Statue of Liberty 100 years ago and now proudly display it in the, like, Red Sea. That would
Yeah.
be the modern day equivalent of what we're experiencing here. And there have been attempts to try and do this before. And one of the interesting things is Greece has offered to backfill and give other artifacts to take the place of the marbles. Obviously, the marbles are the pinnacle, are the prize. However, there are other artifacts that have cultural significance and value that they are willing to give to the British or lend in a cultural partnership to the British Museum to fill that void that would be left. Because, as we discussed in a previous episode, any sort of attempt to fill it with a replica is just leaving how did that guy phrase it, Colum?
I don't remember, but he was very insulting to the concept of a replica.
Yeah, just that
And
it would leave it a fancy fake in its place.
Yeah, and it's just like,
And there have been attempts before where the Greek prime minister has made it a key point to his political career to try and return the marbles. And this caused a minor spat with the then prime minister, conservative prime minister, Rishi Sunak, who canceled a meeting with the prime minister after the minister said he would make the issue known during their conversation. They didn't say what kind of conversation they would have. He's like, yeah, I'll bring it up. And Sunak just said, nope, we're not meeting at all. That's it. I'm done.
yeah.
And
This is something that has been filled with a lot of very charged political feelings and a lot of very charged national feelings, especially given that the fact that for most of the last, I'm going to say 30, 40 years at least, the British government's policy has been that Greeks cannot own Greek artifacts because those people aren't civilized enough to take care of them, which is probably the most demeaning way you can call someone inhuman without using the word inhuman.
It's also kind of interesting, too, because the new British Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, has released a couple of statements that have both gone in the way towards the British Museum and against it. And one of the things they said is the government's position is that we have no plans to change the law that would permit a permanent move. In that case, the decisions relating to the care and management and sculptures are a matter for trustees of the British Museum, which is operationally independent for the government. It's kind of interesting to me that a few words were used. One, that they're obviously not going to change the law, but also that it's a permanent move. We talked previously about how the British Museum has gotten around that specific law by lending it back to its home country in perpetuity. Or what I always struggle with perpetuity. And it's very interesting. It's the first time in a long time in many generations where the British government is even willing to listen, which is surprising.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting. And the law in question is the 1963 British Museum Act that prevents the removal of objects from the British Museum's collection. And they do bring up exactly what I mentioned. The trustees are exploring the possibility of a special loan agreement with Greece.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh.
And,
the Greeks, ooh, they clap back.
Yeah. But one of the fun things you can look at if you're seeing this in the news or if you're looking it up is you can see kind of whose side is going to have the implicit bias in a lot of the articles based on what they call the marbles, because the Greeks adamantly refer to them as the Parthenon marbles because they are the marbles from the structure of the Parthenon. The British call them Elgin's marbles because they were purchased by Lord Elgin. Therefore, their only provenance is his ownership.
It also is kind of sad, too, because during the transit from the Ottoman Empire back to London, the marbles were naturally heavily damaged because they were stocked into ships that went on the ocean and sailed.
Yeah. And then the English decided to clean them with acid.
Yeah.
Because civilized people destroy the things they're protecting.
But the Greeks, on the other hand, have said that they won't agree to a loan if it asserts the British Museum's ownership over the sculptures.
Hmm.
Which I
Yeah.
kind of understand, but it's also a very prideful point because realistically, and the British
Yeah.
make this
Yeah.
argument a lot, but if the marbles go back to Athens, the likelihood of them returning to London after the fact is
Yeah.
very, very, very low.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure you could surround Greece with the British Navy and demand them back, and they would still tell you to go home.
Yeah, so, it's a very contentious issue, but I know me personally, I very much side on the thought process of repatriation as overall a good thing because if you want to visit the items, you should see them in their native context in their native country.
Yep. Yeah. At the very least, the people, the descendant communities of the people who made the thing should be allowed to determine where and how you can see the thing.
Yeah, and it poses an interesting conundrum. Let us know what your thoughts are down below, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.